Hello there. Welcome to Telecom Weekly, your digital and telecom program. I'm your host, Lillian Chidi. It is my pleasure to welcome you to today's edition of the program. Telecom Weekly is an initiative of the Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, Africa's biggest telecom regulatory body, designed to inform, educate and enlighten you on the trends, issues and development driving innovation and creativity in the digital world. At NCC, we connect you to the world. On the program this week, we will give insight into the NCC Broadband Technical Awareness Forum for Governors. We will also bring you a report on the special ambassadorial appointment of the Executive Vice Chairman CEO of the NCC by the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, not forgetting the story on the NCC Maiden Conference on Risk Management in the telecom sector with the theme, Nigerian Telecommunications Industry, Managing the Emerging Risk and Embracing Risk Opportunities, and much more. Do stay with us. On NCC Telecom Weekly, we bring you innovations, trends, policies and stakeholders, redefining all sectors of our economy today. Here, you'll see the actors, policymakers and creativity that will shape your mind and business for growth in line with today's reality. Join us every Tuesday, 5 p.m. on NTA Network, every Thursday, 8 p.m. on Radio Nigeria, FRCN Network, NCC Telecom Weekly, connecting Nigeria. The federal government has urged state government to prioritize the deployment of broadband infrastructure, especially in rural areas, to enable inclusive distribution of internet across the country. The Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Professor Isa Ali Ibrahim Pantami, stated this at the Broadband Technical Awareness Forum for Governors organized by the Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, in Abuja. Billions of people around the world rely on digital services for education, work and social engagements. The federal government is leaving no stone unturned in ensuring the Nigerian citizens have a good share of digital prosperity as it urges state government to prioritize the deployment of broadband infrastructure to enable inclusive distribution of internet across the country. Since the inception of the current administration, the Nigerian Communications Commission, under the supervision of the Honorable Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Professor Isa Ali Ibrahim Pantami, has periodically engaged the Nigerian Governors Forum to seek collaborative ways towards deepening broadband deployment nationwide. To this extent, the NCC put together the maiden edition of the Broadband Technical Awareness Forum for Governors, where the Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Professor Isa Ali Ibrahim Pantami, reinstated the potentials of broadband to the citizens for their economic emancipation.
The theme of this event vindicates to us technical awareness for our subnationals, our state governments. We have earlier realized that broadband penetration cannot be achieved in Nigeria without accommodating our subnationals so that we can work together and ensure its success. Because there is no way we can ensure security and safety without broadband globally. There is no way we can attain economic development without broadband penetration. And there is no way we can acquire knowledge effectively and deliver content effectively to our students without access to broadband. When there is broadband penetration in our states, it will go a long way in supporting our security institutions. It will support the entire economic ecosystem. It will support our schools. It will support our citizens when it comes to updating ourselves with daily information and news. This is one of the reasons why we feel it is necessary to engage them so that we will appreciate the benefits of broadband penetration beyond that collection of a right of way or introducing other new charges that will become an obstacle to broadband penetration in our states.
Professor Pantami emphasized the greater support and collaboration will be required from the state governors towards addressing the challenges to broadband infrastructure deployment and services across all nooks and crannies of Nigeria. This will further articulate the key targets in the National Broadband Plan 2020 to 2025.
As we all know, that the federal government of Nigeria has developed Nigerian National Broadband Plan 2020-2025, which has been unveiled and launched by my boss and my principal, President Muhammadu Buhari, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, on the 19th of March 2020. Since the launching of that policy, we have been working day in, day out by inviting and collaborating with all other stakeholders to ensure that we attain broadband penetration in Nigeria, and we also drive the benefits of broadband penetration in the country. As we all know, that broadband penetration or access to broadband today is no more luxury, but rather a necessity, because there is no way we can ensure security and safety without broadband globally. There is no way we can attain economic development without broadband penetration. And there is no way we can acquire knowledge effectively and deliver content effectively to our students without access to broadband.
In his goodwill message on behalf of all the state governors, the governor of Edo State, Godwin Obaseki, speaking in his government's strategies and achievements with information communication technology ICT in the education sector and other sectors of the Edo State economy, gives insight on his success story.
For us in Edo State, we realized very early enough that the benefit of broadband penetration required an interaction with the regulators. And for us, we waived every charge on right-of-way, and we swapped our right-of-way for services. That's why, working with an initial partner, we were able to get the first 400 kilometers around major urban areas. And a couple of weeks ago, we closed another deal where another partner is connecting the entire state, about 18 local governments, with broadband to an extent of about 640 kilometers. I want to assure the Minister and NCC that states are willing and ready to collaborate and work with you.
Obaseki assured stakeholders of the readiness and the willingness of the state governments to work more with the federal government, but emphasized the need for increased open dialogue and trust between states and the federal government. The forum afforded all the representatives of some state governors to express their determination to cooperate more with the Federal Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy, the NCC and other telecoms company to facilitate deployment of fiber infrastructure, which they believe would improve the socio-economic lives of citizens. Chairman, Board of the Commission of NCC, Professor Adeolu Akonde, in his remarks, says Nigeria deserves to be up-to-date as the world has since gone digital in all spheres and could therefore not afford a lag behind among the countries leveraging broadband for socio-economic growth.
The world is going digital and Nigeria cannot afford to be left behind. But as a country with sub-nations, federating states, it is impossible for the federal government to achieve the goals of broadband penetration without the cooperation and collaboration of the subunits as represented by the state governments. So the NCC is happy to work under the Ministry of Communications and initiatives on how to get the federal government and the subunits, the state governments, to work together to address all issues that could hinder the penetration of broadband across the country. We've had issues of multiple taxes, of right-of-way, of access to sites, and these have been a routine process between the state governments and the NCC and the Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy. And in this regard, the minister had engaged the Forum of Governors over the years. So this is a platform to further the understanding and collaboration between the federal government, as represented by the Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy, and the state governments.
The Executive Vice Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of NCC, Professor Umar Dambata, in his submission, informed the gathering that the objective of the event was to seek better understanding and effective resolution to all issues affecting faster broadband deployment.
Put broadband infrastructure in place. Do this, you have this very important and high GDP per capita that will go up because you are empowering your students, both socially and economically, to be both productive and innovative. And consistent with the ITU vision plan, it says ICT services should be provided to all without any discrimination. You know, the component that defines this is inclusiveness. So we must deploy infrastructure in a manner that will make inclusiveness in the way and manner ICT services are provided, so that there's no discrimination. You know, when it comes to these services, there are no deep pockets. Everybody has the right to have access to the internet. And we can only achieve this dream by appealing to your excellencies, spearheaded by the Executive Governor of Edo State, to please cooperate with the Nigerian Communications Commission, to cooperate with our Honorable Minister, to promote that digital economy that will see inclusiveness in the ecosystem. If we can do this, then we would have taken that important step that needed to be taken in order to ensure we empower our students by having equitable and affordable access to broadband services in the country.
He reminded participants that, despite the gradual process towards the target, this forum will also provide deeper insights on how to address identified challenges to broadband deployment. At the well-attended event, which included discussions by stakeholders at the technical panel session, several resolutions were made towards ensuring accessible, available and affordable broadband services that will support the overall socio-economic development in the country. To be part of the show and for more information, please join us via our social media platforms showing on your screen. Thank you for staying with us. Still to come, the Executive Vice Chairman of the NCC, Professor Dambata, has been appointed as Special NDLEA Ambassador. Details when we return from this short break.
In keeping with our core values of innovation and excellence, we are expanding the frontiers of our social media platforms by launching a podcast, NCC Global Connect. Our podcast offers you a whole new experience on our social media engagements. To stay up to date with our regulatory initiatives, kindly visit our website www.ncc.gov.ng. Click on Media Center and scroll to the podcast channel icon to enable you experience the pool of regulatory information. NCC Global Connect podcast is available on multiple directories, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google Podcast, Amazon Music, and so many others. NCC, Connecting Nigeria.
Welcome back. On the quiz segment, as we had known in the last episode, we're having a repeat of last week's quiz. The questions again are: 1. What is the meaning of teledensity? The second one is: what is the meaning of USPF? Please send your answers to telecomweekly@ncc.gov.ng for a chance to win a prize. In appreciation of his effort towards ensuring a safer Nigeria, the Executive Vice Chairman of the NCC, Professor Umar Garba Dambata, has received a special recognition from the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA. The erudite professor is now a special ambassador of the agency, a collaborative acknowledgement to help fight the war against the prevalent use of narcotics and other dangerous substances amongst Nigerian youths. This presentation was made when the NDLEA FCT Commander for Narcotics, Mohammed Ajia, paid a courtesy visit to the NCC headquarters in Abuja. Few weeks after Executive Vice Chairman of the Nigerian Communications Commission (NCC), Professor Umar Dambata received an honorable badge from the Chairman of the Economic and Financial Crisis Commission, the NCC boss has again been named by the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency (NDLEA) as its special ambassador in its renewed war against narcotics and use of other dangerous substances leading to addiction in the country. Mohammed Ajia, the Federal Capital Territory Commander for Narcotics at the NDLEA, announced the ambassadorial recognition during a courtesy visit to the Commission in Abuja. According to him, the objective of the NDLEA was to partner with the Commission in order to reduce the number of drug addicts in the country through sensitization programs. He says that one of the aims of his collaboration is to explore the use of telecom platforms to disseminate information about its activities to sensitize the citizens. He added that this has become strategic as nearly all Nigerian youths are telecom subscribers who interface with telecom platforms from time to time. Ajia hinted that NCC comes readily to mind as a good partner to the NDLEA towards achieving the later mandates of reducing cases of drug addiction among Nigerian youths. The Director, Human Capital and Administration at the NCC, Usman Mala, who received the NDLEA's delegation on behalf of the Executive Vice Chairman NCC, assured the visiting team of the Commission's commitment to supporting the drug agency in eradicating drug abuse and sensitizing the citizen, especially the young generation, majority of whom are telecom consumers, on the negative effect of drugs. The Nigerian Communications Commission (NCC) has announced plans to organize the third edition of its annual ICT Innovation Competition, which is committed to promoting innovation from the sustainability and continuous development of the Nigerian communications industry. The event was introduced to keep up with its strategic intent as encapsulated in the National Digital Economy Policy and Strategy 2022 to 2030, Pillar 8, Indigenous Content Development and Adoption. In line with this, the Commission is inviting tech hubs, investors, and the ICT ecosystem to participate in the competition, which is themed Utilizing Indigenous Digital Solution to Bridge the Digital Divide. The ICT Innovation Competition remains a medium for showcasing indigenous solutions, talents, and innovations in the ICT ecosystem. This is aimed at motivating and encouraging Nigerian youths to engage in innovative development from the telecoms industry and improve the nation's ability to compete in a global economy. To participate in the competition, prospective technology hubs and startups are required to submit proposals that are relevant to the ICT telecommunications industry. Interested parties should be duly registered with the Corporate Affairs Commission of Nigeria (CAC), and there should be proof of concept, feasibility of idea, and diagram, algorithm. Eventually, 15 tech hubs and startups will be shortlisted to showcase their technologies to a panel of judges at the Digital Bridge Institute, DBI, Oshodi, Lagos campus. Those shortlisted will be announced on the 23rd of January 2023. The tech hub and startups with the best 3 innovative prototypes will be awarded cash prizes of 2 million naira, 1.5 million, and 1 million naira respectively. For further information, visit the Commission's website www.ncc.gov.ng. The Nigerian Communications Commission (NCC) has embarked on a wider regulatory steps to sensitize telecom stakeholders about the need for proper and continuous risk identification with a view to managing such risk before they become detrimental to the industry. The EVC of the NCC, Professor Omar Dambata, says it has become imperative to minimize risk in the industry to ensure that services are not disrupted and that consumers obtain the best services that are globally available. Professor Dambata stated this at a two-day maiden conference held in Abuja with the theme Nigerian Telecommunications Industry Managing the Emerging Risk and Embracing Risk Opportunities. The Nigerian Communications Commission (NCC) has embarked on a regulatory step to sensitize the industry on the need for proper and continuous risk identification with a view to managing such risk before they adversely affect the industry. To this effect, the Commission hosted a two-day maiden conference at its headquarters in Abuja, where its Executive Vice Chairman Professor Omar Dambata says it has become imperative to minimize risk in the industry to ensure that services are not disrupted and that consumers obtain best services that are globally available. Director of Policy, Competition and Economic Analysis, Yetunde Akinloye, who represented the EVC, said the essence of the forum was to examine a myriad of issues that challenge the implementation of the National Digital Economic Policy and Strategy (NDEPS) 2020 to 2030 and to enhance the development of a sustainable ICT sector in Nigeria.
While risk management has been critical in our regulatory service delivery, we acknowledge that all stakeholders must be concerned about the varied uncertainties that the industry is confronting or is likely to confront. The ICT sector is inherently filled with several business and technology risks. I'm sure even in our own whatever, you wake up someday, WhatsApp is down and all sorts of, there are all sorts of risks that we are all exposed to. There is hacking, there is cyberbullying and all sorts of things. And like I said, there are some we can't even prepare for. So all these things are what has informed the need for us to have this conference so that we are not caught napping.
The EVC told participants at the event, which also featured virtual participation, that the Commission has been at the forefront of ensuring that the telecoms industry is not adversely impacted by these uncertainties and risks.
The Commission, as much as possible, does a lot of collaborations with other government agencies. So when you talk about the issue of cyber security and online fraud, not only are we liaising with the Office of the National Security Advisor, we're also speaking to the CBN. Also, the issue of interconnecteds in the industry is one that has a potential for destabilizing the industry. And we're also taking that up, not only with operators, but we're also coming up with the more innovative ways of handling the matter.
The conference with the theme, Nigerian Telecommunications Industry Managing Emerging Risk and Embracing Risk Opportunities, called for collaboration between the regulator and other stakeholders in the industry to achieve multi-stakeholder strategies aimed at identifying and addressing emerging risk in the telecommunications sector to ensure sustainable and impactful growth. Just before we wrap up the program for this week, let's remind those who were not part of us from the beginning. As we had no winner in the last episode, we're having a repeat of last week's quiz. The questions are again, 1. What is the meaning of teledensity? The second one is, what is the meaning of USPF? Please send your answers to telecomweekly@ncc.gov.ng for a chance to win a prize. This is where we drop the curtains on this week's edition of Telecom Weekly. I hope you enjoy the program. Join us again same time next week for an insightful journey into the telecom and digital world. Telecom Weekly is powered by the National Telecom Regulatory Body, the Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, connecting Nigeria. I am Lilian Chidi, your host, saying bye for now.